Hey, all you Flick fanatics, welcome back to Flick and Reel. We have a special video for you today. Myself, Mr. Sean, we got Jesse, we got Chris. We wanted to talk about our anticipation, basically, for Black Panther is coming out this week. And sadly, we are not quite as lucky as all those, fancy smancy critics where it's Monday night and they get to go see, premiere or critic screenings way before everyone else too. So while they're having fun, we're at least putting this together for all of you, all of our fans, just to talk about, hey, what do we want to see from this movie? What are we expecting? What kind of experience are we about to have? And I can't wait to get into it. So stick around, make sure to like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel.
Sean, thank you so much, sir. Yep, we have gone from Wakanda being forever away to Wakanda being this coming week. We're almost there, just a few days away. We're very excited for it. This whole group was here for the trailer reaction, which is one of the biggest videos that we had on this channel. And we've all got varying levels of anticipation. We all have different thoughts on the first movie, and maybe we'll talk about some of that here. But first, I want to talk to Chris and Sean about how the marketing has impacted your anticipation for Wakanda Forever, because I think to some degree it's impacted everyone. So let's start off with Sean.
Well, it's been kind of crazy how minimal the marketing is. I think they're taking a page out of like their end game marketing, where we had no idea about what the actual plot of the film was kind of going into the movie. And personally, for me, I think that's preferred, because you don't want to give everything away in the trailers. You don't want to just have your entire movie already floating out there, so you can kind of just piece together, okay, here's the beats of the whole film. We think Namor is the villain. We don't really know, just based off the trailers and even the featurettes or the behind the scenes interviews they're doing. So I think that's a great way for us to kind of go into it relatively fresh with just kind of the feel of the tone, which they've spoken about in various interviews and, talk shows they've been on, where it's going to be a somber-ish tone, because you are dealing with the real world, death of Chadwick, and you are also dealing with the death of the character in the film. And so I think we can all anticipate at least how we're going to feel going into the movie. Then we'll find out how we feel coming out of the movie.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well said. The marketing's done a really good job of giving us a tone. And outside of the obvious tragedy, I think we didn't really know what to expect going into the movie. So these last few trailers, I think, have really emotionally resonated with a lot of people, especially with folks here on Flick and Reel. But I'm really wondering what it has done for Chris.
So my big thing with Black Panther Wakanda Forever is that it's this cultural phenomenon similar to the first film, and they've released a couple trailers, but like what Sean said, we're dealing with the real life passing of Chadwick Boseman alongside at least the first trailer kind of gave it away, the real death of T'Challa. So now it's this celebration of sorts, while also it's a movie about grief, but now here's this new enemy group over here, and that's what Namor and all like that little subsection. Are they the real villains? Who the hell knows? I've only seen the first trailer, if I'm being honest, and I saw a quick clip that when Tenoch Huerta, when he was on Jimmy Kimmel, I watched that, and that's where I found out that it was not in the film Namor, it was Namor, or at least that's how he's going to pronounce it. But that's all I know. For me, the real marketing of this movie has been toys and the things I see at the stores. And I feel like it's very, very hard for me to believe that a certain character is not the new Black Panther, because I know that's a big topic of conversation. But I still feel like this movie's done a good enough job of keeping a lot of people guessing and asking a lot of questions without giving us any answers. So I can't complain too much. It may be different for other people. Who the hell knows what we're getting from this movie? I think it's just a Marvel thing at this point. We're just really questioning stuff. I'm very much still looking forward to the film, even after all the TV spots and the second trailer and all the toy releases and whatever the hell else they're showing all over the place.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And for me personally, it's been a sharp, steep spike of anticipation boost with the marketing, because going into this movie just with all the uncertainties and things, and I wasn't as high on the original film as a lot of people are, but I think it's a very well made film. I'm definitely a fan of Ryan Coogler, so I was curious to see what was going to happen, but I was already mourning the character of T'Challa, even though we don't know in canon what happens to him. Black Panther's always been a really cool character, and I love seeing him in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the animated show, and he was my favorite part of Captain America Civil War. So it's going to take a lot to kind of bring me on board for them transitioning without Chadwick and without the character of T'Challa. And man, with all the heavy lifting, the trailers still delivered. I cried both times. And I feel like the more I hear Angela Bassett as Queen Ramonda speak, it's devastating. And there's already early buzz that it might be the first MCU actor nomination or supporting actress nomination, and that would be something to see. So my anticipation is an all-time high. But let's bring in our next topic of conversation, and something that, it's kind of the elephant in the room that a lot of people are talking about, and I hinted at it there. Just hoping that everyone can be civil. I trust the gentlemen that we have here. I want to ask both Sean and Chris, do you think it would have been worth it to recast it? Is the character bigger than the actor, or is this really Chadwick's role and shouldn't be touched? And I will preface that by saying there's no wrong answer. I'm just always curious to hear what thoughts are, and we'll start with Chris on this one.
So this is weird, right? I know ever since the passing of Chadwick and we got at that Disney investor meeting, Kevin Feige said, we're not going to recast. Okay, we're not going to recast. That means only one logical solution, and them having to lose the character in the universe as well. But of course, people are going to ask, but what if we recast it? It's hard because Black Panther was this cultural phenomenon. Not only the film, which at one point, and guys correct me if I'm wrong, it was the highest grossing domestic movie in a while, if not like ever, because folks flocked to go see this movie. They went in droves, and it was this symbol of just like Black culture, and it's incredible. And Chadwick was the face of that. I know folks are going to be like, oh, but Blade happened. Come on, are we going to really equate Blade to Black Panther? I don't think that's the case, especially with the MCU, how established it was. Then you include Black Panther, and the character, like what Jesse said, it showed up in Civil War first, then its inclusion and the character's presence in the following films. It was hard, and I think they made the right choice. Personally, I would not have been mad at them recasting, but it's gonna be rough to continue doing the, oh yeah, here's the new T'Challa, especially after how hardcore people were for Chadwick Boseman to be T'Challa, to be Black Panther. And we only got one movie where he was the lead. It's upsetting, it's tragic, and I think they played their cards correctly. Now, for all those wanting a recast, I think it's safe to say we'll see a Black Panther variant in maybe like a Secret Wars. That'd be fun. Like, have T'Challa without it being Chadwick Boseman, and then we have the excuse of it being from a different universe. But in the mainline universe that we're all watching, it was the correct choice. It's a bummer, but that's real life. And I love that they paid homage to him. I think this movie will also be a testament to how important he was and carrying on his legacy as well. We made the right choice.
Chris, I totally agree, and I'm really glad they brought up box office, because this movie was huge. It was a cultural phenomenon. It was a financial phenomenon. It was a phenomenon all over the place. It was really impressive. It made a statement, and never before had we seen this much out the gate money for an MCU character, and it was awesome. It was kick-ass. So we can't wait to see what happens with the next film. But I want to ask Sean what his thoughts are on should they not have. It's a hard decision, but do you think they should have recast T'Challa?
Jesse, that's a great question. And I mean, I think you said it as well. There's no right or wrong answer. You just have to kind of ask yourself, I think each individual person, am I more about the character of T'Challa, or am I about the mantle of Black Panther in story within the confines of the MCU being passed to another person, another character, and possibly Shuri, possibly Okoye, or any number of other people, because they have done that in the comics. So are we just keeping the character T'Challa because it is so important to people who want to see their hero on screen, or are we just moving the story forward? Or is that character kind of untouchable, cemented with Chadwick himself? I'm perfectly okay with what they decide to do, because they had, the blessing of the family. They had the blessing of Ryan Coogler, friend and filmmaker. And I think they'll make the right decision for them. And obviously the excitement, you can see the excitement from the people is telling that I think they made the right decision moving forward, and they're going to be just fine.
If I can add one thing in regards to the whole recasting, I think it shows on Marvel's case, Marvel Studios, this was a very human decision. Because typically, if this were to happen, they would recast. We would have seen another actor, another black actor pop into the role, and then business as usual. But this is a very unusual case where I don't think we've had a situation where an established franchise, especially a franchise like the MCU, lose one of its core characters, a character that it would use to cement the future of this film franchise, and they chose not to recast him, opted to change the story for the better of what's going on going forward. I think that's a testament to the folks at Marvel, and I know I'm giving credit to the multi-billion-dollar studio, whatever. I think it's a very human decision. I don't know how many other studios would have made that call, because we're over here talking about, oh, just recast. It's the easy decision, just recast. They didn't. The guy had one movie, 4 appearances, one movie. I think that's a testament to them, of course, to the filmmakers involved, like Ryan Coogler, for them sticking to their guns. No, we're not going to recast. Chadwick is T'Challa. We will change our story as such. Now, when we have this conversation again in regards to who's Black Panther in 20 years when they reboot, then we can have this discussion. I think Chadwick Boseman's legacy in film it'll include Black Panther, obviously. It'll also be, hey, like, they changed their story because this real life thing happened, and it's not just let's do what's better so we can make more money. No, it's also, let's acknowledge this real life thing that happened to a person that no one has said a bad thing about over the last few years. So let's be human about this. And again, I give credit to Feige and to all the folks at Marvel. And if I sound like a shill, then whatever. But I love the decision not to recast. It honestly makes me feel better about the sequel.
Yeah, thank you. And the thing about this argument, or not even argument, but discussion rather, if you're civil discourse, and that's what we do here on the channel, is that I really think everybody's right. Every time I listen to somebody tell me why they think they made the right choice by not recasting T'Challa or replacing Chadwick Boseman, or whether they have an argument for why they should have, everybody's right. That's how I feel about it. It's just kind of a matter of leaning, and I was leaning on being a big fan of the character, just to wrap up with my thoughts here. And what makes me a little remorseful is that, let's say you have a character like Batman. If we lost an actor playing Batman, they would find a way to like carry off the last movie or work around it, and then 5-6 years later, or even less, we'd have another Batman. But with the MCU being an evergreen franchise that's been going on since 2008, so 14 years now, and it has no signs of slowing down. Now that we're moving past the character of T'Challa, it does feel like that particular character is left behind before he had his perfect opportunity to rise. And I feel I'm left wanting, and it hurts, but I also feel like I wanted to see the continuation of Chadwick Boseman's career. So both in the fictional world and in the real world, we're left heartbroken and unfulfilled, and that sucks. And everyone's going to deal with that differently. So Chris, thank you for your thoughts. Sean, you as well. We did have another topic of conversation that we wanted to cover here before we wrap things up, and that is, what does everybody want most? Like, it can be something that's a bit of speculation or just feeling or tone or anything, but what do you want most coming out of Wakanda Forever leading into the rest of the MCU?
Honestly, that's kind of a question I've been struggling with myself, right? Because what do I want? Do we want a self-contained story in Wakanda? It is entitled Wakanda Forever after all. Or do we want like an Avengers style crossover movie where we have all these people coming in and you expand the world and you're showing off, the other ties to the MCU? I think I want a more self-contained story. And I think from some of the rumblings and subtle reviews that I have heard from some of the people that saw the early screenings at like the world premiere and stuff like that, I think we are going to get a very self-contained movie. We luckily get to introduce Namor, a brand new character who in the comics was a mutant, so we're bringing more mutant worlds, and we're going to tie into hopefully the greater MCU with, we see Queen Ramonda at the UN, talking to the other leaders and stuff like that. So they're going to deal with kind of the real world, the MCU real world ramifications implications of their king falling. The entire story beat is going to affect Wakanda directly. They may not have all these extra cameos pop in and out, but we may not also need that. So leave the world building for like the mid-credits scene, for the post-credits scene. Let them tell the story of how it's going to connect to like the next movie down the road. We have Quantumania coming out in February. Let's have the movie, stick with the movie, introduce Namor. You don't have to have all these extra cameos come in. Leave it for like the teases at the very end.
Well said once again. Thank you so much, Sean. I agree with everything you said, and I just have a couple quick things before I'll pass it off to Chris to wrap up this conversation. The things that I really want to see is the exploration of Wakanda. Show me that Wakanda is bigger than the Black Panther character, even though that Black Panther takes a prominent role in the story of the ongoing story of Wakanda, as well as the royal family with Shuri, with Ramonda. And I also want a contained story, but that I know that there's things coming that are attached to this. So I would like to see where we leave Riri Williams at the end of this movie, how that goes into Ironheart, but also the introduction of Riri Williams and Namor. There are worlds and characters. There's a lot of things getting introduced in a film that is so closely tied and intimate with existing characters as well. But it sounds like from the early reviews that it's been a incredible balance, and I want to see how they pull it off. And I would love to come out of this movie, even though being skeptical prior to some of the marketing and stuff, come out enjoying it even more than the first one. That would be, if I could really throw a high bar up there, that would be really cool. So Chris, what is that you want to see from this movie?
So with this movie, it's hard to have some type of expectation. The only expectation I have, just give me a good send-off for T'Challa. That's it. I think I know nothing about the movie. I haven't read any reviews, watched people's reactions or whatever. I just give me a good way to say goodbye to T'Challa, while also like us grieving alongside these characters, while being self-contained. Also open up this world a little bit. As like Jesse mentioned, Riri Williams, Ironheart, is making her first appearance in the MCU in this movie. And Namor, of course, my Latin king. I need him to not be antagonized. I know it's been speculated and rumored how T'Challa, how he dies in this movie. We don't know. I really just hope it's not at the hands of someone like Namor, because he could be this big presence in the MCU, and I would hate for them to antagonize him to an irredeemable amount in the first movie he's in. Because let's be honest, if Namor is the one that kills T'Challa in the movie, then it's gonna be very hard to make the anti-hero or one of the anti-heroes of Marvel redeemable in later appearances. So let's not do that. Let's have our fun in Wakanda. Let's explore these characters a little bit more. Let's grieve. I guarantee a lot of tears will be shed watching this movie. It's cliche to ask. I just want a good movie. I'd be lying to you if I said I wanted all my world building stuff at the end like Sean, because I'm greedy, and I want Riri to be this big presence. I want Namor to be this big presence, but also give me something fun. Of course, Marvel's going to give us something fun at the end credits. It's bound to happen. I'm very, very excited to see how this movie goes. The first trailer broke my heart. The second I hear that Rihanna song, just wait, I'll be crying a little bit more. It's going to be rad. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Chris,
absolutely. I could have said it better myself. There's so many things to look forward to, and I think we're hoping and expecting tears, and like Doctor Doom, right? Oh, no, we said not connecting the universe, just stand on solo. That's cool. I can jive with that too. Well, the important thing is, guys, not just what these three randoms on the internet think, but what do you guys think? Let us know if you thought they should have recast T'Challa, how the marketing has been working for you, and what is it that you want most out of this movie. We're seeing it in just a few days, even shorter by the time this video comes out. So hop in the comments, let us know your thoughts on all those things. Make sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't. We do stuff like this all the time. Maybe not exactly like this. This is new, but we got trailer reactions, we have movie reviews, just general discussions, fun hangout things. You can always be entertained here on the Flick and Reel channel with folks like me, Jesse Swift, Sean Wingblade, Chris Anthony Lopez, Allison Salamone, and Scott Fox. Until next time, keep it real.